So this is Phoebe, and Phoebe is a massive flamingo here in the Tampa airport. You know, we got flamingos here in Florida, but where we're getting ready to go, we don't have flamingos at all. In fact, they got these weird creatures called loons. That's right. So grab your jacket, we're gonna roll the intro, and then we're jumping on this plane right here to go up to Minnesota. All right, so usually this would be the part where I end up shadowing a home inspector around the house and trying to figure out a way to film the whole thing. But we have an embarrassment of riches today because while we've got Eric, the home inspector here, we've also got Tessa, the house coach, who's going to be co-hosting this whole thing. So that frees me up to just film. So that's going to be awesome. So first of all, Tessa, thank you so much for being here.
Hey, happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
And you've got kind of an interesting history with Structure Tech. I think you and Eric have worked together before.
Yeah, actually. So I worked at Structure Tech for about 7 years, and it's great to be here today to go through this house with you again, like we used to.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to it.
Yep.
So Eric, tell me a little bit about your process and how you go through the home.
I think it's super important for a home inspector just to have like a consistent and repeatable process. So I remember from training, Tessa telling me like no matter the size, no matter the age of the house, treat every house kind of the same. So when I get to the house, I'll start out by going around the outside of the house first, just getting the lay of the land. Once I'm done with that, I will come back inside and I'll start at the top of the house and work my way kind of counterclockwise down through the house. And again, getting the lay of the land, a lot of data collection for the first part of the inspection.
Because you're writing a report while you're on site, correct?
Correct, yes. So a lot of data collection, turning on lights, turning on fans, putting a strong load on the house, really kind of putting it in like worst case scenario situation. I'll make my way down through the house as I get to the kitchen, test the appliances, get the mechanicals going right away, furnace, boiler, make my way down to the utility room, and then testing the mechanical equipment, go to the outside, do the exterior, do the roof, and then come back inside again, start at the top, and work my way down through the house, testing plumbing, electrical, outlets, windows, doors.
This sounds like a solid process.
Well, you trained me. So.
I like it.
See, I'm telling you, embarrassment of riches. We've got a co-host that knows, that has trained the home inspector, that coaches people on home ownership. We've got a masterclass home inspector here, and we've got this incredible, gorgeous property. So guys, I think we're set. Let's go check out this 1800s Queen Anne Victorian.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Queen Anne Victorians are my absolute favorite kind of house to inspect, and this one proved to be absolutely exceptional. With 140 years of history, with a beautiful mix of old and new, there's a lot to check out. So let's start up top and work our way down.
So we're standing on the top level of this house, and above us is attic space. Eric, can you tell me what we're looking at? What is this here in the ceiling?
Yeah, so we're looking at a central return for a HVAC heating and cooling system. And during the initial walkthrough, when we went into the walk-up attic space, we did see that there was a furnace up there. Okay. And we know that this is the return for the upper level. So why don't we go up there and take a look at it?
Let's take a look.
Okay.
All right, so here we are. We have a walk-up attic. And in Minnesota, when it gets really cold outside, all that warm air from the house can rise and get into these attic spaces like this, and you lose a lot of heat through the lid of the house. So houses that have walk-up attics and people are using them for storage are notorious for having high heating bills, cooling costs, and potentially ice dams, right, Eric? Where the heat from the house leaks up into the attic, warms up the roof deck. A warm roof deck is no good because then it melts the snow, and then as that liquid water drains down to the edge of the roof, it refreezes at the eave where it's cold, and then you get this literal dam of ice that builds up. And then the issue is more snow that melts, that water gets trapped behind the dam and can find its way up underneath the shingles back into the house. But what adds additional potential problems is when you've got ductwork and forced air heating and cooling systems located in an attic space as well, right, Eric?
Right, exactly.
Okay, so here we've got a furnace, and walk me through a couple things that you might look at when you're inspecting a furnace.
Sure, yeah, so from when we were down on the upper floor, the finished level of the house, we saw that return in the ceiling. So we've got the central return, which is coming in over here.
Okay.
We do have a furnace filter compartment, which is located right here.
And you take a look at the filter?
Absolutely, yep.
Okay.
We pull the filter out, we take a look at it, make sure that it's clean.
Mm-hmm.
We make recommendations to have it changed about every 30 to 90 days, depending upon usage, depending upon how many people are living in the house.
And the type of filter too. If you've got a thicker filter, maybe you don't change it as frequently versus a 1-inch filter you might change every month.
Yep, exactly. So this one, just taking a look at it, we've got...
Ooh, look at that.
Yep.
So the air is coming from the return in the ceiling down below through this filter and then into the furnace.
Correct, yep. And you want to make sure, I mean, my recommendation, what I always tell people is whatever size filter you've got, there's a lot of different filters that are on the market. And when we're looking at a filter, particularly for a high efficiency furnace such as this one, white, pleated, relatively inexpensive is usually your best route to go.
Mm-hmm.
Going with those super high allergen filters, you can actually cause strain on the furnace itself because it's just too much restriction on airflow. The other thing that'll restrict airflow is obviously how dirty the furnace filter is. So
that was brave of you.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
So if you're wondering what $2.5 million will get you in St. Paul, Minnesota, it's a renovation done right, and downstairs was an absolute gem with an updated kitchen full of new stainless appliances, upgraded cabinets, all while retaining the class and charm of a historic building at this age.
Okay, so we're actually standing here with Whitney, who is the homeowner, this beautiful, unique property. And you're gonna show us the other half of this house that we have not seen yet, which I'm really excited to get into, which is a what?
A bed and breakfast.
How long have you owned this house?
12 years.
Wonderful. Okay, and how many bedrooms and bathrooms is this property?
Oh my goodness. 9 bedrooms and I don't know.
A lot of bedrooms and a lot of bathrooms.
Yes.
Okay, and has this house always been a bed and breakfast?
No, it was obviously built as a single family in the 1880s, and in the 50s it was cut up into a nursing home. Then it was a home for teen mothers, and then it was a boarding school. So by the time I reached it about 12 years ago, it had a whole bunch of institutional yuck that needed to be undone, and we have beautifully restored it as a bed and breakfast. And then the owner's suite, which you've already seen quite a bit today.
Amazing. Well, can we walk through some of the bed and breakfast? Show us some beautiful spaces.
All right.
So tell me a little bit about this room, Whitney.
So this room was one of the rooms that we walked into that inspired us to renovate the whole house. You see this beautiful architectural detail, this beautiful woodwork, and we knew this home could be restored. The institutional portion of it had covered up these floors for 60 years or more. As we were peeling those layers up, we realized there was a bench that had been in here, so we simply put that all back.
Wow, beautiful.
Much of the home's floors, trim, wainscoting, and coffered ceilings were all original and meticulously restored, but like every classic vintage house, it had its secrets as well. You just have to look hard enough.
So back in the day, the Victorians used to hide the plans of the home in the newel post and the stairs. So this
Oh my gosh.
has a cavity that goes all the way down.
Wow. That is so cool. I did not know that.
No.
Did you find anything in there?
Nope.
The historic preservations and the careful, tasteful upgrades extended throughout the rest of the house. But enough about fit and finish. Let's talk nuts and bolts, because the old and the new extended downstairs as well into the guts of the home. And that's really what I enjoy looking at, because major systems have to be retrofitted in such a way that they work with the old ones as well to prevent major system defects. Let's see how they did.
What are some of the things that you look for, Eric, when you're inspecting these systems?
What I'm looking for is just primary functionality of the systems themselves. Operating them, actually turning them on, getting them going. We know we have 4 furnaces inside the house at this point in time, which is being used as the primary heating and cooling source of the home. And then obviously this massive commercial boiler that we have over here that was used at one point in time. It's decommissioned at this point, but could obviously be used during the heating season if the owner wanted to. Really, it's just looking at how all of these decades of improvements and changes are working with one another, and are they working correctly?
All right, so one of the cool things about having a homeowner here in a property that's 150 years old and has a lot of history is that she can tell us things that we may not necessarily know just by looking. So Whitney, tell me about this space and what's unique about it.
So this used to be a dumbwaiter space. You could see it would go from basement, second level, third level. And what we did was take out the dumbwaiter space so we could make room for the furnaces. And we installed them, used that as the chase work throughout the house so you didn't have to come into the old historic home. And basically they're stacked on top of each other. There's another furnace just like this on the second floor. There's one more cool feature I gotta show you guys. This is the old cistern turned wine cellar. You can see the water catching system coming in from the roof down into the space. It would have all been parch coated with this. We excavated it entirely and made it our wine cellar.
This house kept one-upping itself with every room that you went into, and the next one for me was no different. So we've got the inspector checking out the rest of the basement here, but every house that you'll inspect that's been as well kept as this one, and you guys have done an immaculate job. You've got the beautiful kitchen, you've got the stainless steel appliances. But you know what every house doesn't have? An industrial kitchen in the freaking basement and a Vulcan range. Check this thing out. So these things are pretty much indestructible. Pilot light is always on, just burning gas constantly. I don't even want to know the bill on this place. But look, if you want to cook for an army, this is where it happens. And these things just don't die. See, I geek out about this kind of stuff because whereas I'm all for a modern dishwasher, the one upstairs, you notice that it's hidden behind like a custom front that matches the cabinetry. No, I'm a dude. I like turbocharged, powerful stuff, okay? So a dishwasher like this, where you run your rack of dishes through, and it just blasts the crap off of those dishes in no time. Oh, can we demonstrate?
Yeah.
This is amazing. Last time I used one of these, I worked at a Panera Bread.
But I actually got some from this side.
Okay.
Push it through. Slam it down. You hit go.
Can I push the button?
Well, let's see. Yeah. Go ahead.
Sweet.
Hit it.
Oh.
Automatic. 5 minutes.
5 minutes and it's just done. Sterilized and everything. Absolutely. I want one of these in my kitchen. Now, if you're trying to tell me I should curb my enthusiasm, the answer is no, because the outside was as incredible as the inside, with gingerbreading on the gables, wraparound porches, spires, chimneys, and so much more.
Okay, so now we're on the exterior of this lovely home, and it looks like we have our main overhead service line coming in here. What are some potential issues that you might find with this?
So some of the things that we're looking for clearance. Obviously, we have a huge patio back here at the back of the house. So we're looking for clearance from the patio to the actual overhead lines so they can't be contacted when people are on the patio. We're also making sure to look for insulators at the clamps or near the masthead. And then the other thing that we're looking for clearance to tree limbs and trees on the property.
You don't want anything hanging on that main electrical service line, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about the actual general condition of the cladding, the masonry and the shingles?
Overall, I would say the exterior brick looks to be in pretty decent condition. There are some areas where there's some deteriorated mortar between the bricks. That's really a matter of just maintenance, TLC. It's something that's going to have to be continually maintained throughout the life of the home.
So you've seen the inside, you've seen the outside, so let's end this thing on a high note.
Oh, we found Neil up here. Neil, how long have you been on this roof?
I just love coming up. I'm freezing my butt off. Great.
We've got some little snowflakes
Welcome
in
to
the air.
Minnesota.
Yeah, welcome to Minnesota. So Eric, now that we're up on the roof, walk me through kind of what you're looking for, what you're looking at.
Overall, I'm just going to look at the condition of the roof. So we've got a couple of different roofing materials here. Obviously, we've got asphalt shingles on the slope portion of the roof. We've got an EPDM membrane,
A rubber membrane.
rubber membrane on the flat roof portion. And we're going to obviously note those things in the report as styles and materials, just to inform the client. But then we're looking at the condition. So I'm going to start at the sloped roof. I'm going to take a look at the shingles. We're going to be looking at the valley flashing. Really our main concern, obviously from what we saw earlier on the initial walkthrough, is what is the condition of this flat roof material area?
Okay, so there's something else up on this roof that we have not looked at yet, which could be a pretty big expensive item to repair or rebuild if there's a problem. So what are we talking about here, Eric? What do we need to look at?
We're talking about the multiple chimneys that we have on the roof.
Yes.
So we've got 3 obviously that we can see right here, but a lot of components that we're looking at on these.
Walk me through what some of the defects you look for are.
Sure. If we can get to the cap, we're obviously going to look at the cap.
That's the top?
Exactly. The cap, the crown, whatever you want to call it. We're also looking at obviously the condition of the brick. We're looking for any spalling. Up here at the top, you can see obviously there's quite a bit of cracked mortar. There's some missing or spalling bricks up at the top. And obviously this being a very large chimney, very tall, it needs to be well supported, which is why we have these metal braces on the corners and obviously these metal bands that go all the way around the chimney to help support it structurally. So we're going to be looking at those as well.
Tell me some other potential problems that we see here in the Twin Cities with chimneys and roof design.
Yeah, that's a really good one. And even though we're not like in this era of home today, obviously we're in a late 1800s home.
Yeah.
One of the common things that we see in Minneapolis and St. Paul, particularly on story-and-a-half houses, is the location of the chimney is not necessarily ideal. So you'll have a chimney that is contacting the roof at the backside of a chimney or at the backside of a roof slope or in a valley. And when you have that, you have water that runs down the slope portion of the roof or down the portion of the valley, and it hits the backside of the chimney. And on this one, we have a really nice metal cricket, which is going to do a great job of funneling water to both sides of the chimney so that water isn't splashing on the backside.
Yeah.
And the backside of this chimney looks to be in really good condition from a brick and mortar standpoint thanks to this cricket. But in some houses, particularly story-and-a-halfs, what, 1920s-ish, 1930s, one of the common things that we saw in Minneapolis and St. Paul was a chimney that is covered in stucco on the backside of, or with a valley or a sloped roof on the backside. And tell us what the problem is with that.
Well, I mean, you've got all that water draining right to the back of a chimney, and that chimney is covered in stucco, and we have this kind of unique problem where these chimneys, these stucco-covered chimneys, the bricks inside of them are made with limestone.
Yeah, it's a limestone material.
Brick, and so that moisture will soak through the stucco into the brick and then start to deteriorate the brick. And so the stucco becomes the structure of the chimney as the bricks dissolve, basically.
Yeah.
And then at that point, you have to rebuild the whole chimney.
Yep, exactly.
There's so much that didn't make it into this episode, but for the sake of time, let's head downstairs and draw a conclusion.
Okay, so now that we've concluded the inspection, Eric, tell me kind of what you would recap with the client, which is typically someone who's buying a house. They hire a home inspector to come. Tell me what you would typically walk through with them.
I mean, I'm really going to walk through with them what to expect as far as when to get the report, when they're going to get the report, how to read the report, just from a general standpoint. I mean, we go over that with everybody, but then diving into the things that we saw in the house today, I'm going to hit really kind of the high points as far as these are the things that you should pay attention to first and foremost. But then I'm also going to include some of the stuff that's been well updated that you wouldn't typically see in a house of this age. So kind of talking about that first, we've got modern electrical, which is awesome, modern plumbing, which is great, updated appliances, and then going into some of the things that we would talk about with the client as far as deficiencies are concerned or things that need attention. And we have such a limited amount of time. You know, we spend hours in this house that has gone through decades of use, decades of renovations, decades of updates, and we're really trying to get, in a matter of hours, as much of the history of the home as we possibly can and pass that along to the client during the wrap-up and with the report after the fact. So it is challenging, but I think it's really important that you understand where the client is coming from, what's a concern to them, and what is going to be most important to them moving forward.
So that's going to wrap it up for us here at this beautiful, not just a Queen Anne Victorian, not just somebody's residence, but this is a bed and breakfast as well. The first one that we've done on the Ride Along series. This has been great. Tess, thank you so much for serving as host in my place here. This is, you nailed it. This is incredible.
This is really fun. Thanks,
yeah.
Brad.
So thank you, Tess. Thank you, Structure Tech. Thank you, Ruben and Neil, for having us out here. Eric. Yeah, this has just been a wonderful time, man. And thank you guys so much for watching. I'm hoping to see you guys in slightly warmer climates next time right here on the Ride Along.